Hello and welcome to Fire in the Belly. Today we have myself, Mighty Pete, and we're joined by the Ashling Henderson. Good afternoon.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for coming on. Listen, great. Ashling, tell us, who are you, what are you doing, where are you from?
So my name's Ashling. I'm from Donegal originally, currently living in Belfast at the minute. And my background is in medical science. I have been a scientist since I left university. So about 6 years experience in that industry. And since the last year and a half, I am now an entrepreneur, and I have my own online franchise with a global health and wellness company. So this is very exciting at the minute, and everything is just kind of taking off in my life, exploding in all different areas, and everything's really, really exciting at the minute.
Awesome, that's great. I mean, it sounds like you've a lot going on there. So, entrepreneurship sounds like it's fairly new to you. I mean, how have you found it so far?
Well, it's definitely a journey, and this year I decided to take a career break from my scientist role. So that ended in August. And so that was the first time I made the complete. So I've been building my business alongside my full-time job for the last year and a half. But this year was the first time I went from the complete switch to employed to self-employed. And whoa, that is that is a shock to the system. It's a journey, a very exciting one, and a lot of lessons that you have to learn. But it's what I want long term. Definitely the self-employed life, life a bit more on my own terms. So I was going to have to get that shock to the system sometime.
It's definitely a change, and I mean, is there entrepreneurship in your family or your background? I mean, where does it all come from?
See, there's not at all. And I remember growing up, if I had anyone speak about, being your own boss, it just never really came into my mind. I actually remember saying to myself, you know, I never want to be my own boss. I'm happy to work for someone else forever. Like I actually remember those conscious thoughts. And it's because I was just never exposed to that environment. There's no business owners in my family. I have one uncle with the business, but I was just never exposed to it. And I look at one of my friends at the minute, and she's a business owner. And then I look at her family, and every single person in her family is a business owner. So I can see the family trends happen. And I am the first one in my family to kind of go after that something different. And it definitely has been a shock to the family, and there's been a lot of questions and a lot of conversations that we've had together to try and help them understand why I'm doing this and why I'm taking a change. But it's all coming together.
I mean, do things happen for the right reason? I mean, you're what are you following here? What's driven you? Do you know?
My drive is to have something more. I know it might sound what everyone would want, but something more than that 9 to 5 working under someone else's terms. I don't mind working hard. And as self-employed right now, I probably work harder longer than the 9 to 5. But when it's on your own terms and it's fueling what you want to do in life, there's something extra there. There's something special there. And I will work as many hours as it needs for things that I'm passionate about. Um, in my career path as a scientist, yes, it's amazing. You're making an impact on healthcare. It's great, but there's a lot of things that come with that is not particularly fulfilling. And that I know that there's other ways that I can be fulfilled, going after what I want. And it's definitely in health, it's definitely in helping others, it's definitely making an impact on people one to one or on a larger scale. And when I was a scientist, like I knew I was making an impact, but because the healthcare world, the medical world is so big and so huge, sometimes you feel like a tiny spot in overall helping. So you have to bring yourself back a lot to, why am I actually doing this? Why am I actually doing this? And sometimes when you're going into work day to day, that mundaneness, you lose track of why you're even there. Whereas doing what I do now in my business and where I'm going, I see fulfillment every single day. And that's what, and I'd be working late some nights, and it doesn't bother me because I do like, and that's what I want. I want to be able to wake up every single day and do what I love.
That's awesome. I mean, to be able to do that, then the old saying is what, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. Don't know if
Yeah.
that's quite true, but yeah, I mean, that's the principle. So tell me this, what does fire in the belly mean to you?
Fire in the belly. Well, I've I've always been ambitious, driven, and it's funny, from a young age, I always knew I was meant to excel in something, like be the top, be the very best at something. And like that's my fire in the belly. Like that's what I've always had. That inner knowing that I was meant to excel in something. And I never really knew what that was. I thought it was my career. So I kept going, education after education. I have done multiple degrees, multiple courses, and I always thought I'm just going to keep going and going and being the best that I can in that area. And that's maybe where I'm meant to be. But then as time went on, I realized, no, that's not where the fire is. And I need to redirect that fire to somewhere else. And now my fire is burning in a more authentic way now, I think, going forward. Yeah.
Where would we find you most on fire then? I mean, what would be your sort of really your go-to point? What's your ultimate?
Do you know what? I find a lot of real, I love adrenaline. Like adrenaline is my thing. Whether that's from something in sport or like physical, but adrenaline, I get a lot of adrenaline when I speak out to people. So like I would do like some coaching calls online, and like afterwards I would be like so lit up inside. I would be shaking nearly with like adrenaline and rush. And I definitely know that I get so much fulfillment when I'm like coaching, sharing words of wisdom, inspiring others. So I definitely see myself like on stage, speaking in front of lots of people, whether that's at like business conferences or like I 100% see myself sharing my story and my voice and my lessons to loads of people. And I know that would get me really, really fired up and really, really excited.
That's awesome. Yeah, to get that and to feel that as well. I mean, is that you? Do you think that's your superpower? Is that your best place?
Do you know what? My mom is like, I think of my mom straight away when I say this because um, mom always was like, Ashling, you're very educational. You're like, go and do that. That's what you're good at. And then whenever I went to become a business owner, she was kind of like, Ashling, what are you doing? Is this really what you should be doing? And then I started telling her about like the things I was getting involved in recently with podcasts and all that. And she goes, Ashton, you'd be great at that. You would just be great speaking out to other people and just sharing your story and your voice. Like, and it's just really nice to hear your mom say that because she's known you since you were so young. And when she kind of sees a niche where you're meant to be, like I see that as well. And that kind of confirmed it a wee bit more, I think, for me. Yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, would you describe, are you your true self? Do you think? I mean, are you your sort of, I don't know, and I suppose let's pre-frame the question for you a little bit. People quite often are what society expects them to be, or what parents want us to be, or whatever, and then there's the stage where you go, this is just me, end of. I mean, where would you be
Yeah.
at in scale of that?
On that scale, I am still finding my true self. So maybe about a year, it's really this year has started to really make the change. I struggled kind of to be in a what society thinks I should be doing, what family think I should be doing, to what I want to do. And it was all blended in together. And to be honest, I don't know what part of it was me and what part of it was society and expectations. I don't even know what was that. So I'm in the process now of unraveling it all and literally building one decision after another and making sure every single one of it is for me. Um, Kind of just like rebuilding, tearing everything down and rebuilding everything up again. And when I build it up, just making sure that that aligns with me. And I do struggle at the minute still because I'm in a business where I'm putting myself out there a lot. There's a lot of social media involved. There's a lot of speaking to people and having conversations with people, and it's a balance between showing up as your best self but knowing that there's a lot you still have to learn, a lot you're still going through. So it's I have this struggle of I want to show up as this brave Ashling for other people. But then there is just some days that I am a wreck as well, you know? And like, so it's kind of like just being as authentic as I can and hoping that I can still inspire others when I'm trying to help them as well, I think.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I appreciate your honesty because, listen, we don't all jump out of bed and skip and do cartwheels down the corridor every day. It's different, right? Some days you just go, yeah, it's just not happening today or whatever. So it's an attitude thing, really.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, definitely.
So in terms, I mean, talk to me about your core values. Where would you be at with there? I mean, you mentioned authenticity there. Is that one?
Yes, definitely. And one I'm learning more about because I didn't I always thought, sure, of course you're showing up authentic all your life. You've been doing that since you were young, and being authentic is just who you are. But it's not really until you bring conscious awareness to your thoughts and actions that you actually start to see what's authentic and what's not, what has been conditioned and what is actually true to you. So I definitely think being authentic is that if I'm authentic, that's when I can show up as my best self for other people. Like the more I work on that, the more I'll be able to give to others, and then the more I'll be able to excel the best that I want to be. So that's 100% a core value. Another one would be definitely family. So if that is a core value, if you would like, if you would say that's a core value, but yeah, family, as everyone is, it's family's everything to me. Family and health are the top two core values in my life, 100%. My own health, my family's health, and then my family as well. And then, yeah, there's probably loads of other core values that I have too, just figuring them out, I'm sure.
No, it makes sense. I mean, there's a lot there. Just break that statement down for us there, because you talked about, conscious awareness to your thoughts. I mean, not everyone will be used to that language. So if you can give us your sort of definition or your understanding of that.
Yeah, so I feel like it's there was a lot of stages in my life I would kind of just run a bit more on autopilot. Like life is busy, like going to a job, get up in the morning, you do the same routine in the morning, you go to work, you come home, you make the dinner, you go to the gym, whatever your routine is, it's kind of set. And that's the way mine was for years, continues and content, pretty happy, like life was good. But then it's not until I started really going, is this what I want to be doing forever? I started questioning my own choices so far. And then I started to delve a bit more into the world of personal development, a bit more mindfulness, like practicing meditation and like only on a very basic level. I'm still only at a very basic level with all that, but it doesn't happen overnight, honestly. The first while getting used to this and being more aware of the thoughts, you're still running a bit more on autopilot, and I'm still learning. But now, for example, if something annoys me, or even if it's a bad day, the weather, right? As simple as that. If I would just kind of threw it out there, it's a bad day, it's a bad day, things are going to go wrong today, whatever. But now if I see something, I have, it's like a second Ashling in there. There's like a second Ashling. So there's Ashling the physical being here, and there's a little conscious Ashling in the background of my head saying, Ashling, hold on a minute. It's only a bad day. It does not mean it has to define the rest of your day. You get to decide your actions and how you feel. And it's the same when someone annoys you, or it's like, do you react? Like, how do you think about this? So it's like this little inner voice going, wait a minute, Ashling, pause, just 2 seconds. Right. And that's the awareness. And that builds up over time. And I'm still working on it, but it's really fulfilling when you realize that you actually have so much control over your thoughts and your feelings by doing that, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, it's always interesting when sort of talking to people going, do you hear voices? And they're like, no. But it's like, well, okay, do you have an inner critic? A lot of people get that. Would you get a lot of inner pushback, a lot of inner commentary?
Oh yes, a commentary all the time, all the time. I was like, even before this interview, I had a couple of things that I didn't get done this morning. And I was like, Ashling, just sit down for 10 minutes before the interview and relax because you're about to go on and do something. that you haven't done before much. So give yourself that time to just sit there and stop telling yourself that you have so many other things to do. And that's only a small simple example, but my conscious self, my that subconscious keeps talking to me all day every day. Yeah.
Just one voice or multiple voices?
Well, there's a head and a heart. If people have heard this before, so there's situations where, yeah, your head is telling you one thing and your heart is telling you the completely different thing. And honestly, I mostly listen to my heart these days. I used to be more, I listened to my head, definitely was. And now, like, whatever my heart says, it might be like logistically completely wrong, or might, if you spoke it out loud to someone, they would be like, definitely no, Ashling. And inside, I'm like, yeah. So I just go and do it. So yeah.
It takes bravery to do that, to actually, defy logic, defy potentially those that are around you and saying, well, this is the right thing. You're going, but that's not necessarily what you want to do. I mean, do you see that as brave, or where do you sit?
I Yeah, I see it as like you wouldn't have those thoughts in your head if they weren't meant for you. Like I always see as well, if anyone has like this really ambitious dream or something that keeps popping into their head, or something they want to do in life, or somewhere they want to go, you're not being given those thoughts just for the sake of it. You're being given those thoughts for a reason, and it's whether you act in them or not. So I do believe if there's part of me that's being pulled to something and my heart is telling me go for it, and I don't go for it, I have potentially lost either an opportunity there or one that might spiral from that down the line. I always believe that there is a reason that it might not show up right away, but there's definitely a reason why you were called to do that.
No, I mean, it's amazing to see, and obviously, do you believe in a karma? Do you believe in a sort of a something else is out there and working away in the background?
Well, I'm definitely like, I wouldn't say I'm really religious, but I do believe in a God, and but I'm more recently believing in like kind of like, as you say, a higher power. Like the term the universe comes to me a lot, right? But I can't say I'm concrete in anything because I haven't took the time. Like I come from a scientific background, so I'm like very, I need to see evidence and I need to see that sometimes. But I feel like it's whatever brings you comfort. So to me, sometimes that brings me comfort. Like, and maybe if it's like a bad health thing, or someone's sick or something like that, I would actually pray. And I'm like, I never pray any other time, but I pray because I want to find that comfort for other people. Or if I'm going through a kind of tough period, I would just take a moment. I normally do this, like go out for a nice walk or something. Nature always brings me a lot of peace. And I would just kind of subconsciously just reach out and ask for a bit of guidance to whoever is out there listening to me. I just do it. So I'm not sure who I'm speaking to, but I'm speaking to someone.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I would sort of hear that quite a lot. And people sometimes can be a bit coy and going, yeah, I kind of, so you say you ask for guidance, or you ask, something else, and
Yeah.
uh, you know, whatever it is. I mean, some people would say that's religion, some people it's spirituality, whatever. I mean, and that's not for me to say, but it's interesting. Take me back. I mean, talk to me about mini Ashling.
Mini Ashling. Like what age are we going back? Are we going back to before 10 or teenage years?
Typically before 10, but wherever you would see mini Ashling.
Mini Ashling makes me laugh because she's she's very similar to now, but in a more, so I was very very tomboy, like very into my sport, very into everything, like literally wanted to be involved in whatever everyone was doing. And sport, I was always open to learning, definitely always open to learning. um I was definitely a confident child. Like I'm lucky to say that I did have a lot of confidence to make friends, and I'm very grateful that I had a lovely I grew up with a lovely like group of girls, and I always like I found that because not a lot of people have that, and I was very very lucky for that. So and mini me as well loved her food. It's funny that food comes to my mind when I think of mini me. Um, it was so funny because I have two younger sisters, and I'm the oldest, and I love my food, and I definitely was maybe a wee bit overweight as mini me. And I just remember a lot of the times my sister, my middle sister, she wouldn't have ate that well. And every time after dinner, I would always ask her, "So you done? You finished?" And then I would just eat her food. And honestly, it's so strange to think about that. But when you ask me what mini me is, I do see those situations very well because I just was very outgoing there, wanted everything. And yeah, no, I did my homework and everything too, though I was very always very book smart as well. But yeah, very carefree. Sometimes you wish you could go back to those days when there wasn't really any problems that you had to deal with. Everything was very easy going.
Do you feel in contact with that sort of inner child, that sort of happy-go-lucky tomboy, outgoing? I mean, are you one and the same?
Yeah, well, I think I've grown up. I haven't lost her completely because I still play sport. I still work out. I love my fitness, love the gym and everything. And my outgoingness has definitely helped me build the business that I have today and the one going forward because like I know that you can be shy and you can grow from that, but I kind of had that in me right away that I was like really open to making new friends. Like I moved around a lot of different cities for university and stuff and jobs, and everywhere I went, I joined the first football team. I went and joined something just to make friends. Like so, I do feel lucky that I've been always been like that. Yeah.
Oh well. So tell us, I mean, what would be your earliest conscious memory then?
Sometimes it's hard to know what is actually conscious and what's not because I would do a lot of visualization, like and a lot of gratitude practice. And sometimes I bring myself back to times when I felt really happy when I was younger. I bring myself forward to times that I'm going to feel really happy and let all that gratitude build up. And the times I bring myself back to, I've brought myself back to them very recently, so they're strong in my mind. So I'm not sure when is the earliest moment, but I definitely remember like as a child, we lived in the countryside in Donegal. I just loved that outdoorness that most kids don't really do now. Like it was every single day. You were outside, you were running around, you were playing all these hide and seek games, tag, all this. And I just remember from a very young age, like a mum's memory of, right, girls, outside, just go. And that was just our lives outside all the time. So I feel like that's pretty young. Yeah, those memories are very young. Yeah.
With your siblings, are you close in age with the three of you?
Yeah, so I'm 28 and one of them is 27 and one is 24. So yeah,
Well,
we're all pretty close, which is nice.
brilliant, brilliant. It's you're the smartest one, I take it, are you?
I don't know. I feel like we've all got our own strengths, definitely, but I definitely felt the bit of pressure being the first one to set the stage for the rest of them. I always was very academic though because I did want to be the best in something. So I always went for the best in something. But I do feel bad for my sisters sometimes as well that they had to follow that. And even my youngest sister, she wouldn't be as like into her academic work, and she found that pressure a lot. And I've been really helping her recently and over the last couple of years know that there's so many other paths out there. There's so many different ways to do things and different ways to go, and she does not have to do exactly what we did. And it took me time to realize that and to tell her that, but I'm really glad I've kind of opened my eyes to there's not just one way to do everything, and now I'm kind of helping her find peace in her own journey, which is nice.
I mean, why do you know why you want it to be? That sort of that is it competitive? What were you competitive, or was it just that just wanting to succeed? Why did you want that?
I think it's just because like I don't see myself as average. I see myself as like excelling in something. So I think it might have came from, in school I could see that my grades were quite good. And in school I knew that I wasn't actually one of the people who just, I knew there was friends that I knew that could study a couple of hours, like crash course before an exam, and they would go in and they would do amazing. Whereas I've always been the person that has to be prepared. I am never naturally cram it in and just make it happen. I've always worked for anything that I have achieved. So I feel like that has built up my belief in myself over time that I can do anything, because everything I've achieved, I've looked back and I've put the work in to make it happen. And even playing sport, it's funny. I started playing sport when I moved to Belfast just to make friends, but I'd never played this sport ever in my life. And I was so bad. And I just said to myself and the coach, I was like, I'm just going to do everything you tell me to do. And I'm just going to continue to show up. That's what I'm going to do. I'm always going to show up. And 5 years later, like I was made captain. I was like scoring. I'm still not the best, but the improvement is huge. So I just put myself to like if I really want to do something, it's just going to take time and continuously showing up, and that's how I'm going to excel in whatever it might be.
Well, fair play. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, showing up and even as you say, following, just doing what they say. It's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that. You know, it's so many people get the basics. They struggle with that. You know, so
yeah.
were you so running into school or running out of school? What was your direction of travel?
Running. Sorry, what was the question?
You were you running into school at that time or running out? I mean, what was your first love?
First love. What do you mean when I'm running into school?
Well, some
Sorry.
people, they love to go to school and they really enjoyed the reading and the learning, or other people just wanted to be outside all the time.
Okay. I actually really loved my teachers. That's something I really loved. I loved, honestly, I look back and I definitely have a lot of role model teachers. So I do remember being in class going, thinking they were amazing, like putting them on huge pedestals, going home and talking to mom and dad about them. Like that's how amazing my teachers were. So I did enjoy that learning aspect. And then I did always love break time, running outside, and the fact that you could see your friends every day at school. um, but I do have some amazing role model teachers in my life, and especially even in secondary school, my biology teacher, she's definitely the reason why I went and studied science. And like, I hope I meet her again soon someday, because I've got a lot to speak to her about and multiple dinners for her to buy her. But I definitely love both. It's weird to say that, but I love learning. I love learning, and I will, even at my age now, I will never say that it's too late to go back to education, it's too late to completely do something new. But then again, I wouldn't say I would take off to another country or try a new sport in a second, in a heartbeat as well. So I'm both, I think. Yeah.
Talk to me about that biology teacher. What did she do? What was it about her?
We definitely had a lot of respect for her, because she put in a lot of hard work to make sure we did well. And that's the thing, you could see her, you could see that she cared, you could see that she wasn't just going in and doing her job and going home again. Her goal was not to teach every day. Her goal was to make us get A's and B's in those final exams. And she did everything that she could to make sure that happened. And that's actually something that's really amazing to think of right now. If you think about the end goal and then work your way back and do everything that you can to make it happen. And that's definitely what she did. And she was the most prepared, the most amazing notes, they're so kind, but no one played up on her because the respect was just huge. And I think that's like why she's been an amazing role model to so many other people as well, not just myself. Definitely.
It's not amazing as a teacher, as you say, the effect that it can have. It's so powerful. It is
Yeah.
so powerful, and it's a privilege really to have that. I mean, so when you going into your teenagers, I mean, what did Ashling want to do when she grew up? What was the original plan?
I don't think she ever knew what she wanted to do. And sometimes you hear these questions now, what did you want to be when you were growing up? And I ring mum and I say, Mum, what did I actually want to be when I was growing up? She goes, Ashton, I have no idea what you wanted to be. And I don't think I ever knew as well. And I remember when it came to when I was 17 and I was picking those those degrees to apply for. Um, I just decided what am I good at? What am I interested in? What do I like? And I just followed that. To be honest, I love biology, as I said. I love science, and I just said, you know what? I'll figure it out. Like I'll just study that, and I'll figure it out as it goes along. So in a way, that's a good thing because you're following what you love, and that's a sign that you're on the right path somewhere. I think it's just always good to be open-minded that that can change, and you know, everyone struggles to find what they love. So I'm glad I've went down a way that I really, really enjoy. But at the same time, I wish now maybe at 17 they said, do you know what? You don't actually have to choose for another couple of years. Like just go out there and try some work experience, just do something, and unless you're really, really sure, go for it. But at the time, it was just the thing to do. We were all going to university. All my friends were going. We all kind of went to the same university, and that's where it all kind of started. Yeah.
It's always my. Did you work at all when you were younger?
My first job was, I think I was 16 or 17 in a restaurant in the town I'm from. That was the first job as a waitress. And yeah, God, I do remember those days were scary. But I did a lot of waitressing when I was younger, and I actually really built up that confidence in it. And honestly, I haven't been a waitress now for God, 10 years or so, but I could definitely walk back in somewhere tomorrow and go, right, let's go. I'll figure this out. We'll make it work. Let me help. Um, but I did like it. It was definitely good. I look back now and it helped me build a lot of skills, and it put that hard work ethic in me straight away from the beginning, which I think is really important to carry through as well.
It's always interesting, isn't it? I mean, what was it? Was it the actual getting the job, or was it the money? What was the driver there for the job?
I think, well, first of all, I don't think mom and dad gave us any choice because they weren't going to fund our life. So they were like, you can. So I did this the whole way through university. And I remember mom and dad supported me for certain aspects of university, but anything out of that, like my social life and anything I wanted to do or holidays, that was all on me. So if I didn't find a way to make that happen, then it wouldn't happen. So that was really good. I'm really grateful that they did instill that real hard work ethic in us from day one. And all my sisters are the same. We've all worked from a young age. And I suppose, yeah, money was the driver back then. And there was a lot of hard work. It was honestly really, really hard work, waitressing and bar work. And I remember in university, I used to work in a nightclub. So I'd start around 11 o'clock at 10 or 11 at night, and I would be cleaning up around 4 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd be in university for a 9 o'clock lecture. I don't know how I did it now, um, but I think that was just part of it. I just accepted it and got on with it.
That's awesome. I mean, what were the sort of the favorite takeaways from those early jobs? The waitressing. What did you learn by it?
I think it's more the hard work. I can work hard if I can really work long hours without breaks and with multiple things to do, like full full steam ahead, mental and physically, for long periods of time. And I look back now and I say, I hope I never have to do that again. But I can, and I can earn my own money, and I can go out and if I want a job, I can find one. I can go and, like, I remember starting a new university and going out and handing in CVs to all the pubs and restaurants in that city. And so it's a good thing to have in us instead of mom and dad going, do you know what? Just focus on your studies, and sure, will fund everything. Maybe I wouldn't have been the same worker that I am today. I don't know.
It's always interesting, isn't it? So, I mean, through your secondary school, what was your core subjects? I mean, what did you really sort of shine at?
So the ones I loved was art. Art is on the top of that. And then my biology. And I was really good at business for some reason. Back then, I don't know why, I was really good at it, but I had no interest whatsoever in it. So art and biology and business were kind of my things, definitely. Yeah.
It's an interesting selection, if you like.
Yeah.
Very creative, very sort of, I don't know, very non-logical, put like that. Anyway, that's for sure. Very creative and the softer sciences and such.
Yeah, there's definitely a creative side in me that hasn't had a chance to come out yet. And I don't know, like, I'm just not sure when it's going to happen because, or maybe it's already happening just in a different way. But like, I loved art. I was doing projects, I was drawing, I was like colors, just, I loved all that. But for some reason, when it came to picking a career, all those limitations of the struggle of an artist came in to my decision making. And it was more where I need to pick a job that's like academic, either science, business, like something like that. And I have a few friends who went down the art path and they're doing amazing now, and it's lovely to see. It really, really is. Um, but sometimes I'm like, should I just go and buy like a sketch pad and start drawing? But I'm not motivated to do that. So there's something else I feel in the future that will come out. My more creative side, definitely. I don't think it's completely gone yet.
It's always interesting, isn't it? That sort of, yeah. I mean, when leisure and pleasure, when you have time in your hands, where do you go to, or where do you go to get grounded?
Um, I should give myself more time. You might, yourself, like running a business, you dedicate your whole self to it for a couple of years, anyways. And like the time I get now to relax, I'm either walking or going to the gym, like or reading and stuff like that. But like for me, if when life does kind of balance out a bit, I'm definitely in the work hard mode now at the minute. But I love traveling. I love just getting away and seeing new places. Like hiking, anything kind of fitness related that I'm kind of exercise and relaxing at the same time. Um, yeah, I love everything like that. That's kind of like the ideal things that I would like to do if you give me a week off now and you said, Ashling, you can just do whatever you want for a full week. I would find somewhere to travel to. I'd find some kind of mountains to walk, hills to climb, like nature, relaxation. That's what I would be doing.
Mm. It's always, I mean, what is it? Is it the sort of experience? Is it the adventure, or just the challenge? What is it that floats it for you?
Well, it comes to mind is when I a few months ago I climbed up the Mourne Mountains in County Down, and it's been so long since I did that. And it took maybe like 5 to 6 hours of my day, and for those 5 to 6 hours, I was completely gone from life, like from everyone in my life, from my business, from everything. It was just like complete utter escape because you're in the middle of nowhere and there's nothing you can do but be present, and it was just the most liberating feeling. And I can see why I need to hike more. I need to do it more because I love it. But if you can take yourself somewhere that you just like are absorbed in the actual moment and you can distract yourself from the world, I think they're the best moments, definitely.
It's always interesting, that, as you say, to go there to get distracted or get away from the normal day to day. I mean, self care, is that something you sort of? It sounds like you try to do it. Maybe try and keep on top of it.
Yeah, like self-care is the word that people are not sure what it means. To me, it's definitely not face masks and a bowl bath because I go in, as soon as I put on the mask, I want to get it off, and as soon as I'm in the bath, I want to get out of it. So it's definitely not that. To me, it's definitely walking in nature and fresh air, or reading a book, or just taking time to even like, I love escaping. The theme here seems to be escaping because I have a TV series that I'm watching at the minute, and I only maybe watch one episode here and there, but when I'm watching that 40 minutes, I'm in there. I'm totally in there. I'm nowhere else. And to me, that 40 minutes is like a complete escape from everything that's going on in my life. And I think maybe that's what my self care is, escape. And just not that I'm avoiding anything, but I'm just taking a break from everything. I think that's what it is.
How does it feel to escape? I mean, not, are you, would you describe yourself as being with yourself, or are you somewhere else?
Just feels like a weight off your shoulders, like a it just feels, yeah, just reconnected to the simple Ashling without all the labels, without everything that she should be doing. And like obviously I have massive goals and everything that I want to achieve and run towards, but it kind of, there's always moments of me that just wants to be Ashling with no other expectations. And like, yeah, I think it's a funny feeling.
What age is that, Ashling?
I think she's right now. Yeah, I've got a feeling that's the only picture I can image right now. Like, do you know what's weird? Say if someone said, right, social media, the internet is going to be completely wiped for a year or whatever, or like, I would be loving it. I would just love that escape. Um, I think it's just like sometimes it's hard when you get caught up in the like the hustle world, the striving for more world, and like the larger percentage of myself wants that, but there's always this tiny little percentage of me that just goes, do you know what? Let's just strip it all back and let's just keep it to the simple things.
It is. I mean, that there is a lot of that, certainly the complexity of life and just looking after yourself and really what's going on. I mean, what's the sort of leisure and pleasure for you then? Is just that sort of almost sounds like you just go off grid and get away, escapism, as you say.
I need to do a lot more of that, definitely. And travel is definitely something I want to do as well. So the business that I have at the minute, it's virtual online, so I can travel everywhere with it. So when it gets built up a bit more, and I'm confident with where it's at, and then obviously with the world situation, like I would love to just be able to get up and go and explore a little bit more as well. Like family's definitely on the cards, but I know there's still a gap there between that, and I feel like these next couple of years, I'm hoping to be able to just get out there and do a lot of different experiences. Yeah.
Mm. Tease us. I mean, what's on the bucket list? What's out there for you?
A lot of things, really. I feel, do you know what's funny? It's like going somewhere and not having a return flight, not having and not planning. Like going somewhere and yes, booking somewhere wherever you want to go, but having the choice to be like, right, do you know what? I might just try somewhere else, or why don't we go here? Or like, you know what? No, let's come home for a month, or like that's the kind of choices that I want to have, and to be able to just the bucket list is to be able to have freedom of choice in my life. I feel like that's the whole bucket. That's the big bucket list. Yeah. Like there's no like, oh, I want to go to this certain place or go to that person place or like skydive off there. Like I don't feel like they're bucket list things. I think it's just more the freedom of choice to enjoy the simple things in life.
Hmm. Why though? Why does that freedom bring you so much?
Freedom is definitely a huge thing. I think it's when you see, you can't unsee. So whenever I was in a job and I looked ahead and I was like, okay, so I know where this career path is going. I was in a relationship and I knew where that was going, and I could just kind of see the next till I was maybe I could see the 40, 50-year-old version of Ashling, right? I could see her. And that was fine. Like, I could see I was going to be healthy, happy, everything was okay. But then when you take your mind out of that and you realize that there's other things out there and you see what's possible and you see that freedom is on your fingertips, there's just other ways to create it. You can't unsee. So I could never go back to just doing something, yes, that I might be happy in, but knowing that I will never have complete freedom of choice and I'll always be either like asking for annual leave off someone, having to go to work. And then when kids come in, that's going to be a whole different game of lack of choice then. But I just, once I've seen what's possible now and what you can create when you build something for yourself that's on your own terms and you're in control, you can't not see that. When you know it's within your touching distance, you can't unsee it. Never again.
What I mean, can you describe that sort of, is it the freedom side or is it your future potential or what is it? Is it, and you talk about it being a feeling.
It's like a feeling of, I don't know, like complete security and just knowing that you don't have to worry about the things that most people in this world worry about. And I feel like it's, I always think, when you see all these huge entrepreneurs, business people, the ones that really make it, it's not the high flashy stuff that they see excitement and thrill in. Honestly, it's the very simple day-to-day moments of peace and love and joy and awareness and contentment. That's the feeling that I want. You know, like no stress in your life, no worrying about money, and like being able to, for example, if your family needs you, you're there in a second. Like you're able to support the people that you, obviously you're only going to have so much control, but so much more control when you have that freedom of choice for yourself.
Out of curiosity, I mean, who do you take after, your mother, your father, or somebody else?
I don't know where they find me really. um, I feel like it's more dad. Dad is like a very hard worker. He's very solution focused. He's always there if you need him, and he knows the answer to that problem. Um, and he's worked very, very hard in his life. Whereas mum has the very caring, loving side to her. So I've just honestly I've looked at their lives, right? And it's so funny. They're the most amazing parents ever, right? Like the upbringing that we've had, we wouldn't, me and my sisters wouldn't be the people we are today. But I look back and I'm like, I can't not make the same mistakes, but have the same life that they've had. Like I can see where things have worked out and where things haven't worked out for them. And I feel like I want to be the person who rewrites that story for me and for the next generation of people. Like there's so many things that travels from one family generation to another, from grandparents to kids, and it can keep going if someone doesn't put a break to it. And there's certain things like things and like that have like not happened, but there's certain things in our family that I don't want to bring that on, if you know what I mean. And there's certain things that I really love and respect my family for, but I want to be the person who creates a new path. The rest of the family don't have to follow, but for me and for my family going forward, there's going to be a new way, a new kind of thing. Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. Tell me, you know, what's your thoughts? I mean, have you been here before? Do you believe in past lives or anything of that nature?
Do you know what? I don't know if I believe in that, but there's some things that I am like I'm really into, or like I really love. Like I love dancing, right? But I can't dance that well, right? I'm okay. But I'm like, oh, I was definitely like a dancer in a previous life, or something like that. Or maybe that's what I'm going to be in the next life. Or there's wee moments like that you get, but maybe that's just silly. So I don't know. No, I don't. I never get moments where I'm like, oh, I was here before or anything like that. Maybe that'll come. I don't know.
Hmm. I mean, would you see yourself, are you intuitive? Do you tend to pick up on moods and energy and things like that?
Well, being more aware recently of, I'm like a person now who I always protect my own energy. So I used to let the energy of others affect my own mood. And of course, it's still hard sometimes to completely let that out. But I'm now a person who can control my own what energy I let in. And even like I remember when I go home to visit my family, this always sticks with me because mom used to say, Ashley, you're like a completely different person when you come home. And then to the person that I am in Belfast. And I was like, why is this happening? Like, what's going on here? And I remember, I'm like, maybe it's just because you're so close to your family. But when I went home, like conversations, I would get a bit more agitated, a bit more, I would like, there would be arguments, like not big ones, but there'd be more feistiness over and back, just family banter, really. But I was more edgy, more jumpy when I went home. And then I used to come back to Belfast and I would be this happy, jolly person that everyone loves. And then I was like, oh my God, my family think I'm this like crazy one, crazy mean one. And I didn't know why there was such a disconnect from the two people. And I think it just brought it down to the fact that I was not aware of my emotions and I just let it out before thinking. So now when I go home, I obviously know families, we irritate each other and that's just the way families are. But now I have this inner Ashling going, do you really need to react to that, Ashley? Can you not just walk away? Or can you say something nicer? Like, there's so much more awareness now. It hasn't completely resolved, but I feel like I'm bringing that person back home to my home house because even when I go home now, I always say about 4 days at home and I start to feel really anxious and really unsettled. And I think it's just the old environment, the old Ashling, the old stories. And I just need to be more aware that, and even when I go home, I can see my visions just going down and dampening, and I can, like, my confidence and belief just kind of disappears. And it's not really a nice thing, but it's just being aware of it and then going again and not thinking too much of it.
It's always interesting. I mean, but that's different people bring different things, and I suppose memories and beliefs and
Yeah.
upbringings and all the rest. And when you get a difference between the two. I mean, in terms of creativity and ideas, I mean, where do you tend to go to, or what's your sort of, yeah? I mean, are you sort of a ideas in the shower type? Is it out walks? Is it when you sleep? What's for that creative flow side?
Yeah, it's definitely out walking. Um, Definitely just in a green area, just peacefulness and quietness. And I came to the point where I started to get all these ideas, and I was like, I noticed a trend when I was getting more ideas, and I actually just have a wee section now in my phone of notes, and I just write down an odd little quote, an odd little idea, a word or a sentence, and even at nighttime before I go to bed, if something pops into my mind, and I need to write it down because it's going to completely go off the top of my head. So, and then also I feel like once you take one creative step, the others roll. So when I get creative and when I put something out there that's creative, all the really good positive energy that comes from that and my own excitement suddenly creates another flow. So it's like never wait to feel inspired, go and find that inspiration, and then that just kind of flows and flows and flows. So like if I know to go out walking if I need some new ideas, um and then I know if I post one thing or put one piece of information out, something else is going to come from it.
Well, what's do you have routines? Do you journal? Do you diarize? Do you shout at the universe? I mean, what's the right thing for you?
Yeah, no, I definitely do. And I have a little morning structure. It depends on what happens, but like this morning, it was just a quick meditation. Like, not even, I'm no expert. I honestly just close my eyes and just breathe. And then I visualize. So I have my 2021 goals set in stone. Of course, they could change, but I am already visualizing how I feel when I achieve every single one of them, to the point where, like, the conversations that I'm gonna have, like the places where I'm gonna be, like they're like I'm already cementing them in my mind right now. And it's funny because I achieved like a big goal in my business at the start of this year. And when it happened, when the actual moment happened, I thought I would feel more liberated or something. But I realized that all the excitement and all the build up to it was the feeling, and then it was done. I've already been there before. I've already done all the hard work. It's already been achieved. I still felt gratitude, but I'm already achieved it before it actually happens with most things. Um, and then another practice I have is affirmation. So I I actually started this thing during lockdown when the weather was nicer. There's a big field, a big open field right beside where I live, and I would just go into it and I would just shout them out loud into the big open space. And I had a few times, I actually recorded this a few times for social media, and I just did it for a laugh. And the amount of response I got from it, and then I got other people doing it, and I said, "Go and tag me in your field affirmations," and then I had other people outside shouting them. And then I actually had one day where the farmer came down to the car and he says, "Are you okay there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just admiring your beautiful field." And he was like, "Well, that's okay because we've had a few break-ins recently and I was just checking, who you were." I was like, "No, I'm just admiring your nature. Like there's no gate or anything. You can walk straight in." I wasn't really trespassing, but yeah, that's my thing. Affirmations, shout it out to the world as well, what you want.
That's great. I mean, that's a, it's always interesting when other people hear your shouts or whatever, and putting it out there.
Yeah.
And why not? Why not get it out there? That's the key thing. I mean, for you then, you talked about, really sort of you got on this track and through university and that, and so take us through what happened then, sort of when you actually got into it.
Got into university and then kind
Yeah,
of
I mean, and sort of you had a bit of a change, obviously.
so yeah, like university, if to bring it back, it's you I would do it so different. Well, I wouldn't do it differently, and I would because I was one of those people who enjoyed the social aspect of university, and I was out drinking, I was socializing late nights, like there was times where my education did like suffer a little bit, but I got through it. I always made sure I worked hard enough to get through it. But like I look back now and think I would definitely do that better. But I got through it anyways, and then I went and did a master's straight after that because I just didn't feel ready for the working world. Probably because maybe I enjoyed myself too much and didn't feel fully able to go for it. So I went and did that, and of course I was in a different stage of my life that time, and I completely excelled in that master's because I wasn't drinking, I wasn't socializing as much. So I just think now looking back, of course you need to enjoy that experience of university, but I look back now and I hope that people are doing it a lot differently to the way it was anyways. Um, and then or even going to university later now is such a good idea. Going a bit later and getting those younger years out of your system. But anyways, it happened. I enjoyed that time, but I look back as well and go and think, what was I doing as well? But then after that, then I jumped into the working world, and I've had three kind of main employment with different people since that, and it's so strange because I always worked really hard. I always did extra time, and like I've that's always been in me, and I've always wanted to learn and develop, right? But and maybe this is everyone, but in every job there seemed to be a stage where I'd hit that what I was doing wasn't enough. Like, and it was really soul destroying because when you're a person that works hard for what you do, like I was never a floater. So if I was a coaster or a floater and then I didn't get what I wanted, or I was caught at a crossroads, I would understand that. But when you're someone who puts in so much effort and work and shows up as like a valuable member of the team, and then in every single job I did hit a crossroads where I was like, they actually want more, or like I can't go to that next level because of this limitation. And I was just like, and then that's what kind of, so the first job I hit a limitation and I ended up leaving. And then the next job, they wanted me to go on. The only way I could progress if I was to do a PhD, and that just was not in my eyes right now. So I didn't. So I left that. And then with the job I was in previously, it was like exam after exam after exam, and I honestly just felt like, am I just in the worst career path for exams, or is this just never going to end? And I was like, you're building up this career, and you're like, when am I ever going to feel like I'm I'm worthy to be here? That's what it was, worthy to be here. I think, because I think there's like an expectation of you, and probably put on by others, but there's a part of you that always feels like that junior position, even after so much work that you put in. Maybe if I kept going, that would come, but I just couldn't see it even after 6 years. And then when I realized that, when I started then with my business, so that came very spontaneously by a friend recommending me that I take a look at something. One thing led to another. I said yes out of excitement rather than knowledge, and just went for it. And then when I seen that it was, so this is where the magic happened. Whenever I seen that how well I do is based on my effort, and I will be rewarded by my effort. So if I don't show up, I'm not rewarded. If I show up, I'm rewarded. And if I show up as a hardworking person that I am, I'm even extra rewarded. So then I realized it's all finally under my control. Like I feel completely in control, even though there's still things I need to work on and develop. I feel like it's all finally under my control. I can design the rest of the story.
Do you feel worthy now?
I do. No, I honestly do. I think it's because I'm not looking for to feel worthy from other people. So like the only person that I need to feel worthy from is myself. Like everyone else I work with in my business, um, my success or my growth does not depend on them. So like in previous jobs, like I was always working for the respect of others. And now I'm like, I just have to work for me and respect myself and feel worthy for me. And then that's all I need to do. I don't need to prove myself to anyone else at all.
When you clear like the degree and the masters and that, I mean, was that who was that for? Do you know? I mean,
Well, that's a story as well because so I did the degree and then I did the masters, and then 2 years ago I actually started another masters because I thought it was the dream job that I wanted. Um, so me as someone who learns, I was like, of course, if it means I have to learn something, let's go, let's do this. How hard can it be? And then so it was a 3 year part-time masters, and then 2 years into it, this is when things started to be like, I'm not sure why I'm doing this. And I actually made the decision there during the summer to quit, to leave it. And that's the first time I've ever quit something in my life that big, right? And like the only way to fail is to quit. I don't feel like I failed though, because I look back and think, right, I had 1 year left. It was going to be a really tough year. Is that 1 year really worth it for that piece of paper? Like who am I trying to keep happy here? Who's the piece of paper actually going to keep happy? Like, and I've already got enough of those pieces of paper. Doesn't matter about another one. But this is the thing, even if someone doesn't have any of the piece of papers, like it does not matter. Like that those pieces of paper are um saved on computers and maybe one up on the wall back at home, but that's it. So your life definitely does not um, evolve around those pieces of paper. And it took me a while to come to it, but now I look back and think, do you know what? Like I'm actually proud of myself for leaving something that I knew wasn't truly for me, even though I could have just kept going for the piece of paper. And my old self probably would have just stuck with it. But I actually don't feel bad that I didn't this time.
When you said quit there, you had a big smile on your face.
Did I?
Just very
uh,
interesting body language.
yeah, I think it's just been it was a big decision because then it wasn't just me. I had to. This is where the expectation came. I didn't have to just say no to myself. I had to say no to the university. I had to say no to my math, the people in my class. I had to have the conversation with my family. Had to have the conversation with my friends, and my boss in my job. So there's so many people I had to like tell that decision for. Like, and it's just, I'm just like, why did I feel like I needed to tell all those people? But some reason I did, and
Who did
I
you
just
want to
think
tell?
I think I did. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Um,
Is there anyone you sort of you knew that was actually rooting for you? You know that this would be good news.
there's, I think it's like there's always the shock factor that people get whenever you tell them something that's not like what you've been talking about for the last while, or when there's a twist in the plot, basically. And but then there's the people who do have the response of, well, if it makes you happy, then that's amazing. And usually they've had an experience in their own life where that's happened to them for something, and they get it. But then you do have the people who care about you maybe too much, like they really care about you too much, and it's not really your happiness at the moment, it's are you making a mistake is the thing that crosses their head. And I think the emphasis is all on the are you making the mistake rather than but how do you actually feel about this. So of course I care and want to tell them, but there was definitely a lot of difficult conversations,
Hmm.
definitely.
Hmm. How do you feel about that now?
Well, there's still parts of me sometimes that has this little mini, like, you know, a flashbacks, kind of like like a flash in your head of going, and then you bring yourself back to your old life for like a 2 millisecond, and then a part of you says, oh, that was actually okay, that was quite nice, that could have worked out all right. And then you snap back out of it in like a second again, and you're like, oh my god, no. And I feel like it's regardless if it was a mistake or not, I do believe that when you make a decision, and if it does end up being a little mini mistake, what you've learned from it is way more valuable to take forward. So like if I didn't say no to that, like my journey might just look a lot different in 2021, 2022. So I do believe that even if you do make mistakes in life, it does lead you on another way as long as you're going after what you feel is right for you.
Hmm. It's. I mean, would you generally describe yourself as, are you away from, or are you towards? I mean, where do your goals lie?
What do you mean? Sorry.
I mean, away from would be typically, that I want to set up something new because, I don't want to feel, I want more money in my life, or I want to have more choice, more control, things like that. Whereas opposed to toward might be, I'm just curious about the world. I would like to know what I could potentially do. So one is essentially pain based, if you like. It's I've this has happened and I don't want that again, or I'm just curious to know what I'm capable of.
Yeah. I don't think it's like I don't have a drive to for example, have a business and develop this something exciting and new that is like mind blowing and I get like this recognition from this thing. I don't see that, honestly, because my goal has always been, I've always been health related. People helping others. That's the reason why I chose my scientist career, helping other people, right? So when I realized that in my business I can help people, I seen the effect of me helping one person and them helping another person, and I that what drives me is that domino effect of how many people I can help. So my goal is kind of like how many people, how much impact can I actually make? Like I listen to people's podcasts these days, and there's one girl in particular who's in my business industry, and I am so inspired by her every single day. And she is actually, I'm just a small dot on her global map, and she's impacting me every single day, and then I'm sharing it with other people, and it's just amazing how big of an impact you can make so fast. So that's the goal. I actually don't know how I'm going to make all these impacts. I still have no plan with some of the things, but I just know what the main goal is. And as well, it would actually be great to know what I'm capable of doing. Like all these visions that I see, like I like to dream big for myself. I like to put crazy ideas out there, but I'm actually really excited to see will I actually be able to achieve them as well. I don't know how long it's going to take, and I am quite impatient sometimes, which is something I need to work on. But I'm going to be excited to look back on on these years now in like 10 years time and see what's happened.
I mean, what does 10 years' time, Ashling, look like?
10 years time, Ashling. In 10 years time, I definitely have. Well, I hope I have a family. Like I hope I can definitely see kids in my life, and I can definitely see them being around my family, like everyone really close, like a lot of family life. But then I do want to have that business that, is more or less like it's just impacted loads of people. It's just gone way bigger than I've ever imagined. And there's just a lot of new people in my life. So like I know that you do find people like really amazing people when you do level up yourself in life. And I know that there's some of my bestest of friends and people are I still have to meet. So it's exciting to know that the people you might spend the rest of your life with, you might not even have met yet. So that's exciting. And as for where I live and stuff like that, who knows? That story is just gonna write itself. I feel like that, but family is definitely a big thing. And my 10-year-old version of myself is definitely very, she's going to still have her struggles, but because she's going to be going for a new level of herself, but she'll definitely feel a lot more certain and a lot more self-esteem and confidence and everything like that. And that inner peace and freedom that I love talking about too.
I mean, do you see yourself creating more? I mean, will it be books or podcasts or shows, or where do you see yourself? I mean, is what's on the bucket list there?
See, this is the thing. If it leads to making an impact on a wider scale, I'm all for it. I have never been good at English in my whole life, but if someone said, "Sure, let's write a book," I would say, "Right, let's try and go and do this." Who knows? And then I feel like as well with podcasts and stuff, I can't say for certain now that I'm going to have my own podcast or anything like that. But if someone say they're crazy, I would definitely keep that option out there. I would even keep a complete new business direction open as well. I feel like like once you just start getting involved in more and meeting loads of different people, all the opportunities just come, and ideas that you never had before are just going to pop into your head. And I'm just like so open minded to anything new. And I think what I've learned over the last couple of years in building up my own confidence, I know that no matter how crazy it sounded, if there's a will, there's definitely a way that I can make it happen.
I think I've got a podcast title for you or a show title for you.
What's that?
Shout out loud.
Shout it out loud. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Take it out to the park. Go where you need to do, and it's true because I mean, listen, we all have stuff where you just kind of go, "What do you know?" Like I said to anyone, it's like, "What do you really want to say?"
Yeah. Yeah. Like, are you asking me now what do I really want
Sure,
to say?
let's run it and see.
Do you know what I'd love to? The most thing that I would love to do right now is to go inside people's heads. This might sound crazy, but go inside people's head and literally give them a glimpse of their potential, a glimpse of what life could be look like mentally, physically, environment, everything. Just give them a little glimpse of what that could be so that that seed is planted, and then like the seeds will continue to plant after that, and at some time then they will be ready to take it on, because I do believe it's all about planting those tiny seeds in people's head. And I want to help as many people as possible, but you can't help people who don't want helped. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most, when you really, really want to help someone in a certain way and you just can't because they're not open to it or they don't see it, or and that's okay, and you just have to move on to the next person. But if I had a magic power to just go and plant a little seed in their imagination of what's possible and how I could help them get there, and then that would be the best thing ever.
Have you a concept of what's possible for you?
See, I feel like someone needs to come into my head and blow my vision up too, because I can only blow it up to a certain point. And I was at a virtual business conference at the weekend there, and like some of the people in my industry, like hearing their stories, who've been in the industry for 10 plus years, and that blew my vision up a little bit more. So the more people I get speaking to and hear what they've done, then I can dream that little bit bigger for myself. Like I think it's being around people who who've been in your position, who've just stuck it out and kept going, and now this is what they've been able to do. um I feel like it's knowing what's possible by speaking to other people who were in the exact same position as you once upon a time,
Hmm.
I think.
Would you, I mean, do you prefer to lead or to follow?
Oh, like lead, definitely lead, but then I'm like, this little comfort side of me goes, I just want to follow along. But like, I think it's human sometimes just to want to be like looked after, or like something like that too. But I feel like if I just follow, then I don't know, sometimes I feel like I'm the person that needs to take action, in other words, for anything to happen. So like, I lead a team of people at the minute, and I know that if I don't show up, they're not going to show up. So I want to lead as well. I want to lead for them. Um, and I'm still learning. So of course I'm still following other people as well. Um, but I'm definitely like, if I have a something I want to do or an idea, I'll definitely put it out there and say, right, who wants to try this with me? Who wants to do this? Or let's brainstorm this. So I suppose that's leading in a way, those thoughts.
I mean, as that leader, what would you love to do? What would you love your tribe to be?
Just like do you know what I used to think? I used to think I wanted to replicate me loads of times. Like my work ethic, my drive, my energy and things like that. I thought if only I could like, just help people do that. But then I realized that's not what it's about, because I actually want to find people who I can help, but they're actually better than me in different areas. So if someone is really good in this area, but maybe I lack a bit of that knowledge, and then I can help them in that area, I feel like that's the type of leader I want to be. Someone who's helping other people become leaders with different strengths and qualities that we can all bounce off each other.
Hmm.
I want to find like, I'm totally not about being the best of the best. Like, I know I said I want to excel in something, but I don't mean be the best of the best, because I'm like, I want to find people who are better than me so I can actually learn from them. So when I say I want to excel in something, I just want to be amazing at what I do, but it doesn't have to be the best at what I do.
Hmm. That makes a lot of sense. It's quite a drive to feel that as well. I mean, talk to me about heroes, inspiration, or people around you that just actually give you, you just resonate with and really sort of stand up to.
This is like, I was asked this very recently as well, and I actually don't, there's no particular person that comes to mind. And I've just kind of realized that since becoming an entrepreneur, I've realized that it's a journey, and it's not just a business journey, it's a personal journey, everything. You're literally putting your whole self out there for a complete transformation and change. And I feel like anyone who's done that and stayed with it, stayed consistent, and came out the other end, honestly, they're a role model in whatever industry they do. Because I'm obviously only starting to go through that whole change, putting myself out there, just letting everything I previously known just disappear and rewrite new stories. That's scary, and that's a level that not a lot of people will go to. And anyone who has went to those areas is just a role model, definitely.
I'm struck back slightly to your biology teacher. What was her name?
Okay, as in her name's Miss Barron, but what he means is she. Oh yeah, she could be one of my role models. Yeah.
Hmm. It's just as that, and as you say, if people aren't sure necessarily what they're doing, it's that it is kind of a leadership role, right? It's that sort of mentoring slash teaching slash,
Yeah.
inspiring as well, that to get that respect.
Yeah, I
Just
think as well, like as you when you bring that up, so there's certain people that will be your role model for certain areas in your life. Like my dad, he would be a role model for his work ethic. Like I've seen how hard he's worked, like for us, for his family, and like even when he didn't have to. So like that's admirable. And then yes, like my teacher in that way, and then like my mum, she cared for her mum and dad for years upon years, and I'm just like that is admirable. So there's probably different traits. If I could pick traits out of loads of different people and put them all together, that would be like the overall role model.
no, it makes sense. I mean, that's as you say, there's different strengths for different things, and that's okay too. Tell me this: what makes you happy and what makes you sad?
This is like happiness is like when I think of happiness, I think of people. So like I don't see happiness in like an object or a travel, or even though I love travel, you don't I don't see happiness in those things. I think it's more just the love of people, like finding like genuine like genuine relationships that you can actually just completely open up to and be yourself. Like your family, like the reason why I feel like you love them so much is because you've grown up with them and they know everything about you. You can be completely yourself to them. You can talk. Well, that's most families. Not every family is like that, but that's like a real true relationship. So when you find that with like friends or relationships, and you can just enjoy like really simple tiny moments, like like take me on a walk with someone that I really admire and love or something, and that's pure happiness to me. And then sad, what makes me sad? It's a strange one because like sometimes letting my own emotions take over me makes me sad, because I'm like, I actually could have controlled that, but I let it take over me. And that is like, that's, there's loads of sad moments, but whenever you lose control of your own emotions, I think that's pretty sad. Yeah. Making me sad thinking about it.
I was gonna say you've a real energy shift even the last couple of minutes. And it's
Yeah.
a bit more emotional.
Yeah, I know. I think it's just on the heart because it's all happened like this year. So like I've had those happiness and sad moments like um just counteract each other so often. So like what from really low sad points to really happy points, like really just all really close together. And I think that's what's bringing all them back, because they're all so fresh in my mind.
Mm.
Um, and that's life, I know, but just need to get more of the happier moments than the sad ones.
Do you value yourself? Do you like yourself and do you love yourself?
I do, I 100% do, like have these little moments where sometimes just before you go to bed at night and you're like, Ashling, I'm very proud of you. Like you're smashing it, or like you're doing well. Like be proud of yourself. And then you have the moments of what I'm doing. Will it ever be enough? That kind of moment. Like it's kind of like sometimes you just wish you were enough. I know I am enough right now, but there's always that next level of that you're always looking for. So like I'm happy with Ashling right now, but I always seem to be searching for this next Ashling that I need to find. And that shouldn't be the way it should be, because I should be always completely happy with Ashling now. So it's just bringing myself back to the gratitude for me now instead of always searching for the next Ashling.
Oh, fair play. I mean, I appreciate your honesty there. It's because it is a journey for a lot of people, and not, we don't all just turn up and go, ta-da, take the pill and we're done. It's a
Yeah.
it's an unfolding process. Tell me this: what's a non-guilty guilty pleasure for you?
A non-guilty guilty pleasure. I'd probably say dancing, Like I just have not even guilty though, is it? Because it's really normal. But
That's why I say to take the non-guilt, because so many people get hung up and go, "Well, I don't feel guilty about anything." It's like, well, what's a guilty pleasure? But minus the guilt bit. There's something you
so
would.
yeah, I think it's dancing. Like I realize that your energy is so important. So if I was feeling very lack of energy before this interview, I would have like purposely got up, put on a good song and danced it out. And like that's what I just love. It's normally in my kitchen, honestly. It's just, especially this year when you can't dance anywhere else, there's been a like, I'm glad I live by myself, or else like there's a bit of party going on in my house sometimes. But even there's times where I could be so in a low. Like I remember there was a day last week where I wasn't feeling great, and I said, right, you're giving yourself 3 songs and you'll feel amazing after. So the first song I put on, I found myself crying halfway through it, but I was still dancing. If you can imagine dancing plus crying at the same time, I'm not sure if it's possible. The second song started to get into the groove a little bit, and by the end of the third song, I was a happy version of me ready to take on the day again. So it's so hard though to get yourself to stand up and take that first dance, but it's so like it's such a relief for an energy booster really really fast. Like movement is just amazing. So that's like a guilty pleasure that I can think of at the minute.
Mm, that's great. So many people say chocolate, but that's cool too.
Yeah.
It's like crisps, chocolate, wine seem to be a very common thing. But no, I get that. I mean, that dancing, getting out, and really sort of, what's your go-to in the music? Just out of interest.
Music is very much it's a bit cheesy. Like I'm not a cool person to keep up with the trends and all that. I really couldn't tell you who's in the charts or anything right now. And then again, I'm not a person, if you mentioned a historical legend of a singer, I would be like, who's that? Like I'm really really bad like that. But people I love is definitely from my kind of teenage years of like, your Beyonce, your like just your typical real get a good dance songs, whatever it might be. So I don't really have any inspirations. It's definitely the music rather than the artist, and anything that makes me feel good, definitely.
I mean, how I mean, that sort of self-care? I mean, do you keep yourself in flow? Do you get out and are you able to do that just through all the normal sort of activities?
Yeah, well, definitely this year has been harder, obviously, because you're not out and about as much. But for example, today I know I have a few things to do after this, and I actually might not get out for my walk today. And that actually makes me feel a bit like I've missed a very, very important aspect of my day. So that it's definitely a really important block in my day to exercise, to move, to yeah, 100%. That's very, very important. But if I do miss that, I definitely notice a little bit of an energy shift or something like that. So um yeah, but I tend to keep in the flow as much as I can. And when I notice that um my mindset, my energy is not good, I do stop doing my work because I know that's not productive. So I tend to always kind of be very aware of my energy and sort it out by looking after me before I do the work.
Hmm. Makes sense.
Like,
I love it. You're just actually getting blinded by the light there, I see as well. So
yes.
you're you've either gone very angelic, or the sunlight is suddenly sort of starting
Is it
to.
very bad or are we okay?
No, it's grand. They're just, just more conscious of yourself. It's sort of take the eyes out of you.
No, it's
But
okay.
no, I mean, so pleasure and leisure for you is getting out and about. It seems, and that's just really sort of touching into nature. Is that?
Yeah, no, that's definitely my thing. And yeah, part of me always thought I'd love to live in a warmer country and you can get out and do that loads. But the beauty really is right here, isn't it? Like if you get a lovely dry day here, it's the best thing ever. Like today as well, it is so beautiful. So It's definitely what I love.
Mm.
Definitely. Like, even though next year I'm actually moving to a different city and quite a big city, but I always know that I'll be able to escape somewhere to the countryside. I will go and find the countryside places first whenever I move there.
Makes sense. Does make sense. So tell us, if you were to summarize, your fire in the belly in one or two words, what would that be?
A drive to just not live life for me, but to make that a bigger impact for so many other people.
Mm.
I don't want to just be here to live my life and just get on with it and have a happy life for me. I really don't feel like that's what we're here for. Like, I feel like all of us humans are put together in this world to all benefit each other.
Mhm.
And I would never like to just live this world making a small impact on the people who's just near to me. I want to see how far I can reach. That's the fire that's in my belly.
Love it. Love it. So tell us, actually, where can people reach out? They can follow you, learn more, hunt you down.
Yes, so if I'm a person who's open to talking to absolutely anyone new. I always feel like when you make a new connection, you might not know how you're going to benefit each other then, but down the line, if you keep in touch, there's always a link. There's always a way to help each other out. So I'm always open to meeting anyone from any any walk of life and chatting to them. So yes, Instagram and Facebook, you can just find me at Ashling Henderson. They're probably the best ways right now. And then I'm obviously open to chatting then by phone and stuff like that and everything as well.
Brilliant. Final message you'd like to leave?
Final message. I just, if anyone listening to this and who's made it to the end, and if you have a fire in your belly at all, I just want you to know, even if you have no idea how it's going to work, even if it's just having a conversation with someone and speaking it out loud and telling them about your fire in the belly, like that's going to move you one step closer. You don't need to have the grand idea, you don't need to have the resources. Just even start speaking it out loud. And before you know it, every step you'll start making it into reality.
Love it. Ashling, thank you so much for your time. I wish you all the best and look forward to hearing from you again in the future.
Thank you so much as well, Pete, for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.